At the very outset, let me thank the organizer for organizing this very timely conference. The theme of the conference is a fiesta of 50 years of Indo-Bangladesh relations. Indeed, Bangladesh and Indian relationship has been baptized in blood. Back in 1971, millions of our brothers and sisters had to leave their homes and go to adjoining border areas of India to save their life and properties. We must thank the Indian people and the government for not only giving shelters to these millions of the refugees, but also for helping us in various capacities to liberate the occupied Bangladesh. Hundreds of Indian soldiers shed their blood in the war field, which was jointly commanded by India and Bangladesh army. Since then, the Bangladesh and India worked hand in hand in reconstructing the war-ravaged Bangladesh. We didn't have even $1 in our reserve. The Indian currency, the Indian finance were all available for reconstructing Bangladesh. Even the Indian human beings, officials, came forward to start the new government. But fortunately, the reconstruction of Bangladesh went on pretty well with the support from our neighbor and international allies. And very quickly, the then Prime Minister of India, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, was farsighted enough to take back the soldiers, the Indian soldiers from Bangladesh, to create an environment for further development of the relationship between the two countries. Since then, we are working together for socio-economic development of our people, and both countries are really benefiting from the close cooperation, not only in the social and economic areas, but also in the cultural areas. In fact, we share the same heritage, we share the same culture, we share the same infrastructures which was disrupted in 1965, and together we are trying to rebuild those infrastructures. We are trying to really reconstruct our broken relationships and culture, and both countries are really benefiting from this close economic cooperation and cultural cooperation. Our foreign policy is also anchored on a very amiable relationship between the two countries and South Asia. So, given this perspective, I will be speaking in depth on the economic ties between the two countries, particularly focusing on trade, investment, and business cooperation. Indeed, both India and Bangladesh are now emerging economic powerhouses. The whole world is watching us, and if we can cooperate, if we can play our games together, both of the countries can indeed attract a lot of foreign direct investment, and also we can really help each other in augmenting investment in our region. India is the largest and one of the fastest growing countries of the world at the moment. So is Bangladesh. And the whole region is really growing together. Both have made significant progress in terms of social as well as economic indicators, and enhanced resilience of the respective economies really make us so proud. You know, the global observers are now recognizing the pace of development of both the countries. We have challenges, but these challenges can be overcome and new opportunities can be created if we cooperate further, if we learn from each other's strategies and policies, if we learn from the success stories of both our development journeys. Hence, there is so much to gain from effective collaboration between these two neighbors. Already considered as the role model for neighborhood diplomacy, both countries are really coordinating their foreign policies and development policies in the international forums. So we can really move forward with those gained experiences. There is a new ecology of regional cooperation. Regional cooperation in South Asia has become more pivotal than ever in the context of the global economic crisis precipitated by the after effects of the pandemic and the fallouts of the Ukraine-Russian war. And both countries have suffered. In fact, India went into negative growth in 2020 and 21. It suffered about -6% growth. Although Bangladesh did better, we experienced about 4% growth around that period when the pandemic was at its height. But India regained so fast, now is one of the best performing economies of the world. The Padma Bridge has opened new windows for cooperation between the two countries. 3 more bridges have also been opened since then. Efforts are also there to bolster multimodal connectivity through the complementaries of railways and waterways, and all these will synergize, in fact, greater cooperation in the transportation sector. And who doesn't know that with the well-connected transportation, you can have better trade, greater trade. The stakeholders ought to materialize the potential for regional cooperation, focusing on both India and Bangladesh, along with the imperatives of transport connectivity, which has significant implications for employment, women empowerment, and energy cooperation. In all these areas, both countries are doing quite well, faring well, and I think together we can do more. In fact, an interconnected South Asia can face global economic crisis far better, and together India and Bangladesh, if we can coordinate our goals and strategies, we can do even better. It can be mentioned that of the region's total trade, intra-regional trade now accounts only for about 5%. And the ratios for the same in East Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa stand to be 50% and 22% respectively. In 2016, BIMSTEC trade constituted a mega share of global trade of only 3.7%. But BIMSTEC houses 20% of the global population, meaning that there remains enormous untapped opportunities for regional cooperation. BIMSTEC is a large family. It may not be so easy to cultivate relationships between all the countries, but India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, these sub-regions can definitely do better and can do more trade and more development. What are the current trade and investment situation in between these two countries? Let me start with the trade. In fiscal year 2021-22, bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh was about $11 billion. Bangladesh exported about $1.27 billion to India, and this can be improved significantly if we can really focus more. And by now, of course, Bangladesh export to India has increased. We are really aiming to cross 5 billion in the near future, and our apparels industry particularly and also export process, in fact agriculture processing industries, they are all making inroads into Indian market. If we can capture 1% of the Indian imports as our exports, we can definitely increase our export to India by 3 to 4 billion dollars. Similarly, if we can attract the Indian investment, which has already been happening actually, the Indian conglomerates, Indian entrepreneurs are already investing in Bangladesh in electricity, RMG garments, and hospitals, and many other areas, but there is a huge opportunity to improve it further. There is a high cost of connectivity, and that is really working against the acceleration of regional integration. Low level of regional connectivity means low trade, and this is happening because of the high tariff and non-tariff barriers, and also high cost of connectivity. An unprecedented level of political will is there between the two countries, and if we can have supportive infrastructure with forward and backward linkages, we definitely can have seamless connectivity between the two countries. And transport connectivity is of course the key here. Transport connectivity is one of the best basic requirements for further cooperation between the two countries. The regional cooperation and integration, the promotion of trade and investment can only be done with a well-established transport network. And if we can have that transport network, we can have higher level of economic growth and social development. Say for example, we can have not only more trade, but we can have also more tourism, we can have people to people contact, we have more cultural exchanges, we can have more business to business cooperation, and transport connectivity can take us far along. The importance of transport connectivity can therefore just not be overemphasized. We have already taken some initiatives in terms of say BBIN, MBA, PIWTT, and transit facilities may reduce carrying time by half or more, and again resulting benefits will ultimately reach the consumers. Will also promote deepening value chains. Just for give you an example, so for example, in Russia, there is a Mahananda river, and on the other side, and there is a jetty, and on this side also there is. If we can just connect these two, we can avoid so much of cost of transport, of our goods and services. This need to go either to Singapore or some other ports to really come to Bangladesh. But again, This is only stones throw distance. So that's why this cooperation is so much vital for deepening the supply chains between the two countries. We can learn that how regional cooperation can help from ASEAN experience. This it's a very nearby experience, and ASEAN countries has already made tremendous progress through initiating infrastructures and regional trade. The first they initiated reduction in intra-regional tariffs, and then they went for ASEAN highway network, ASEAN Open Eyes. These are the connectivities on the ground and also on the air. So, and the collaboration they did in terms of business incubation and telecommunication networks, and ASEAN power grid. The 6 cross-border connections have already been made in ASEAN region. That has created a ground for about 50% trade and investment cooperation between their own countries. So this lesson we can definitely learn and put in place in South Asia, where India is at the center. There are huge investment opportunities if we really play the card well. India is a growing investor in Bangladesh. The Indians have already invested about $3 billion in terms of special economic zones in Mongla, Bharamara, and Miresorai. And if these are in place, the Bangladesh companies, along with the Indian companies, can really flourish. In addition, Bangladesh companies can also invest in Northeast India, and already there is a huge cooperation of agro-processing in trade between Northeast India and Bangladesh, and we can further deepen the value chains, and this will benefit both Bangladesh and Northeast India. Indeed, we can really form the entire border into a free economic zone, if we like, actually, with a given kind of cooperation between the two countries. Let me give you some examples about the regional cooperation in terms of energy cooperation. We are already benefiting from the huge goodwill of economic cooperation between the two countries. We are exporting about 1160 megawatt of electricity from India. We are now going to open a pipeline for the diesel pipeline from India. And again, if we can really cooperate further, Bangladesh can be the power corridor to link Arunachal province with the rest of India. Energy trade enhancements may result in the creation of a BBIN power market in future, where we can bring in Nepal and Bhutan into this cooperation landscape. In the transport cooperation also, we need to be multimodal. It's not only the roads, nor the railways or the waterways. We need to be equally cooperative in all the modes. So multimodal connectivity could be emphasized while talking about Indo-Bangladesh cooperation. Multimodal connectivity enhances reliance and sustainability of the trade relationship. Amid the pandemic-induced lockdowns, Indo-Bangladesh road transportation was literally stopped, but the trade didn't stop. In fact, but trade between the two countries continued because we could fall back on the railways and the waterways. That's why we need to go multimodal. The road and rail connectivity already is on, and we got to now operationalize BBI and MBA, and this will really take the relationship further. We have already established this Moitri Setu, and this is connecting Tripura with Chittagong port, and now Chittagong, Ashulia, or Chittagong, Tripura. Now, due to this, Moitri Setu, the distance between Agartala and Chittagong has come down to only 75. So the trade has become much easier. Using this transit through Ashulia, we can really do trade between the two countries so easily. Bangladesh has received about 510 million US dollar loan from India for 3 major railway projects. However, due to the bureaucratic lethargy, I would say, the implementation remains slow, and we got to focus on this implementation mechanism. Bangladesh is planning to revitalize all pre-1965 railway connections with India, and the Indian side is also equally happy to join hands on this. But the inland water connectivity can really be a game changer. As you all know, the waterways connectivity initiatives are already in motion. In July 2019, Indian cargo ship arrived at Narangons for the first time, and subsequently now ships are coming to Chittagong, and goods are being transferred from Chittagong to Agartala and other northeast Indian states. But in addition, what is more interesting, recently the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated this Ganga cruise, which will be really starting from, which has already, the first trip has already started from Benares, coming to Kolkata, then to Bangladesh. And this is really bringing in a lot of foreign guests, showing both India and Bangladesh, and many of our people will be joining this cruise someday and know each other. Waterways connectivity initiatives are already in motion, as I said. If adequately facilitated, waterways connectivity can reduce travel costs by 30%. Enhanced waterways connectivity can bolster, medium and small industries, and these are the industries mainly led by women. And if we can really have trade hubs or the industrial hubs along the river banks, then we can have many employment for the women. Development of inland waterways require new financial and technological investments, focusing on infrastructures, and both countries are now working on this. Bangladesh has invested a lot, and as far as I know, the recent budget which the Indians have already put in place has given much emphasis on infrastructure, and I hope that both Bangladesh and India can really have higher investment in infrastructures. Bangladesh has invested in trade, transport infrastructures like, Dhaka Metro Rail, Dhaka Chittagong Expressways, Padma Bridge, Matarbari Bridge, and all these will really benefit about 1/3 of our population. And Bangladesh is planning to have 12 gigawatt hour of additional electricity generation, and again 75 billion of US dollars in export, 5 billion value of ICT industries, and here Bangladesh by 2026, and by this time, with the help from the India, we can do far better in terms of expanding our exports. Not only in trade or infrastructure cooperation, we can really cooperate better in our social sectors as well, and that will really lead to better economic cooperation. We already have strong political will for economic cooperation between the two countries, and this collaboration must be extended to social infrastructures like health, education. Already there are some good cooperation going on. Delhi Public School is in Dhaka. We have connections in the hospital industries. We have, in fact, if we can have better social services, then we can have skilled employment and reliable customer base if we can make that relationship. In fact, our Prime Minister has also emphasized on collaboration in education sector. In one of our speeches on 7 September 2022, our Prime Minister said, youths of both countries need to interact more closely and connect to the shared history because they are the future leaders, and leaders across borders must work in close collaboration as our leaders did in the past. So there is a political will, and Bangladesh, as of today, we spend not much in our educational sector, both countries, but India does better than us, particularly in the tertiary sector. The Indian really spend about 49% of their education budget. Bangladesh spends only about 30%. So we can take advantage if we can do some more reforms, learning from each other. Both countries can learn from each other and make reform initiatives successful. But we can definitely benefit from the cooperation on educational collaboration. Both countries want to bring their respective education sector stakeholders under one umbrella. Each can learn from the experience of the other. Bangladesh is poised to mimic the growth path of Southeast Asian economies, and if they can do that, they will have to ensure higher education for about 36% of their population. India's success in education, particularly in technical education and privately owned universities, can be replicated in Bangladesh as well. Both countries are investing significantly in research and development. Bangladesh's experience in agricultural research and technological development, and India's experience in ICT are both commendable models for the rest of the world. Enough scope of mutual learning and joint ventures can be really achieved in these sectors. E-learning and blended learning are becoming increasingly prominent. Bangladesh has newly emerging digital education startups. India has more experience in the field of distance learning and digital learning, so we can learn from each other on that as well. Special quota for Bangladesh students in professional universities like the Indian Maritime University and world-class technical institutes like NIT with scholarships can be really a framework with the Indo-Bangladesh cooperation. And similarly, the existing interdependence for healthcare can be further strengthened. In fact, Deepak Shukla, CEO of Pushpapati Research and Institute, Delhi, said that medical tourism in India is increasing as the latest technologies and expert workforce are available here. Of the medical tourists in India, 22% are from Bangladesh. So if that is so, we can have more cooperation in this sector so that we can really substitute some of our really import. More than 2/3 of Bangladesh's expenditure are borne by the citizens. Moreover, 600 to 700,000 people travel to India for healthcare annually, and these people spend approximately Bangladeshi taka 50 billion to procure healthcare in India. Hence, Bangladesh can be a good investment destination for Indian healthcare providers. More scope of using digital health consultation before admitting senior patients in Indian hospitals can be also thought out. That in turn may contribute towards reducing health expenditure for service seekers from Bangladesh. Bangladesh's success in enhancing access to rural health care can also be a lesson for all, including India. As you all know, Bangladesh's success in reducing maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate have been possible due to immunization program, successful immunization program, and managing COVID-19 so brilliantly. These are exemplary examples. Establishing community clinics at the grassroots has revolutionized rural health care. NGOs have also played a complementary role here, but Bangladesh is benefiting also from some of the NGOs in India to really take advantage of this cooperation. Bangladesh is another good example of primary health services. Bangladesh has established community clinics at the grassroots and almost revolutionized the primary health care center system. Bangladesh is also enjoying the presence of a huge number of NGOs like BRAC. Those are the NGOs. These are very large NGOs, and they are really working on the ground. And together, the government and the NGOs are really playing a very important role in primary health. So we can learn from their lessons from the Bangladesh can help the rest of the South Asia definitely on this, particularly our neighbors. Where are the possible areas of cooperation in the health sector workforce? Nearly 47% of the doctors' positions and 31% of the technologist positions in Bangladesh remain vacant. So we can have help from our Indian experts to carry the necessary training and workshops so that our doctors can really come forward to fill up these places. Filling out these positions could significantly reduce out-of-pocket health expenditures for our citizens. Indo-Bangladesh collaboration to train healthcare professionals can be a win-win solution for both the countries. And again, Bangladesh said growth can be further augmented if we can increase Indo-Bangladesh trade and investment. As I have already said, Bangladesh could mimic the growth path of Southeast Asian peers and reach per capita income of $4,000 as early as 2026, and this per capita income could really take the Bangladesh to the same trajectory of growth as happened to Singapore, Thailand, or Malaysia in the 90s and 80s. So I thought this is an area where Bangladesh is progressing so well. Consumption already constitutes 73% of the GDP of Bangladesh. This is likely to grow by more than 12% by 2026. And about 1/3 of the population of Bangladesh will belong to the middle income group by 2026. Approximately 11% will graduate from lower income to higher income group or the middle income group. By 2026, around 36% of the population will have tertiary education and will have higher disposable income, and that will really create a lot of market for the middle and the advanced consumers, and where Indian entrepreneurs can come in and really do a lot of business and industries. So opportunities are huge. Both countries have growing consumer bases. Collaboration will enhance competitiveness and growth of the industries in these consumer sectors. India's vibrant IT, healthcare, education sector can utilize the tech-savvy, youthful human resources of Bangladesh and have the growth of their joint ventures or their enterprises. We have now about we are having about 100 special economic zones in Bangladesh. 3 of them are Indians, so we want many investment in those special economic zones. Agricultural value chain developments, for example, Pran Group or the ACI, are already doing very good business in India, and this really can be enhanced, if we can cooperate. The ways forward, the potential for cooperation for faster and sustainable economic growth is simply unlimited. Sky is the limit. Both countries are now politically poised to develop the infrastructures for desired level of cooperation. Together, the two countries can certainly move ahead with caution and humility. People to people, business to business, government to business, government to government, heart to heart, cooperation can yield additional mutual benefits for both the countries, and we are really looking forward to that vibrant cooperation between the two countries. Thank you again for bearing with me. Thank you so much.